Hello, this is Dan Alford, and you're listening to Dan's Cadre of Experts. In this podcast, I bring on people that I've learned from, people that are experts in their field. And one of the groups that I've used for quite a while is a PEO. And the fellow that I've been working with on the PEO for many years is Jim Grimm. Jim, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you, Dan, for having me.
What's PEO? I can barely spell it.
Yeah, most people can't spell PEO. It stands for Professional Employer Organization.
So it's employee leasing.
It used to be, several years ago, it was called employee leasing. It has evolved now to what we call co-employment.
Co-employment.
Yes, it's an agreement between you and a third party and your employees.
And I'd like to go back to how we met because you saved my life, to be candid. We had something happen many, many years ago where there was a potential workman's comp claim, which was never filed, so didn't have to be denied, but because it wasn't a real claim. But in expectation of there being a filing, workman's comp tripled my rates, up by 300%. This is devastating. And so in Texas, you can go one of three ways. You could pay the triple rates, or I could have gone as a non-subscriber. In Texas, you don't have to have workman's comp insurance, but then your liability issues go way up. You can talk about that. I'd like to. Or door number three, I happen to know a florist.
Pat Scott with Rose Gallery,
Right.
I believe her name was.
That's right, Pat Scott. They're actually neighbors of mine, and I was complaining to them about my woes and troubles, and Pat said, well, you need to call Jim.
Thank goodness she did.
And so what'd you do for me?
I came in and sat down and talked with you about what you were facing. We talked directly. You shared with me exactly what you were looking at. What
was your position at that point?
At that time, I was regional sales manager for Employers Resource.
And what are you now?
I'm now the division president.
President.
That and 75 cents, you can make a phone call.
So you've done good. And how long have you been in this industry? I want to establish your credibility.
I've been in the industry right at about 24 years, and I've been with Employers Resource for 22 of those 24 years.
Okay.
And you have been with me as a client for 20 years.
20?
20 years.
Not
almost
bad.
21. Yes. Amazing. Awesome.
So, okay, go back. So you and I sat down. We started to talk. I remember I was pretty naive at the time. All I knew was I was going through a devastating situation, and I remember you said, okay, it's going to be about this much. And I go, whoa, okay, that's better. And then you pointed out that the number you were showing me included FICA, FUTA, SUTA, and MCare.
That's right.
And when you subtract all that, you guys weren't making much money.
Exactly. It was a very, and it still is today. The margins are small. What we try to do is everybody's outsourcing. Somebody's doing their work comp. Somebody else is doing the healthcare. Somebody else is doing all of the things that are HR related. And what we as a PEO do is take all of those entities and bring them under one umbrella. Now, all those entities on their own have to make a living on their own. We just make a little bit off each one. Our margins are thin, and that way, by bringing it all under one umbrella, give you a one-stop shop, but at the same time, cut costs, use economy of scale to give you a better pricing on things. Now, if you'll remember, your work comp program that you were in then was not actually true work comp. It was a accident plan that then you were looking at moving to work comp that was going to be triple the price. And what we did was, and as a PEO, because we do insure the bulk of the claims, we don't look at a shock loss. And that's what we've considered that. It was a shock loss. So we look at it very thoroughly, but we look at the whole history. And your history was good. So I was able to bring in significant savings, able to bring in all those components together and bring it all under one umbrella.
Yeah, I suppose mine was a special case. You guys started to handle our payroll and our 941, and the list goes on. And all I was really cared about at that point was comp.
Right, exactly, and that is a big driver.
I was part of a big pool, right?
That's absolutely.
Okay.
And that's what happens. A lot of people, they come in to the PEO world for one particular instance, and then they're like, oh my goodness, look at all these other things we get. And still that same price. It's a one-stop shop. It's one price to get all of those things. I call it the buffet of benefits. There are many things that people choose to use and some people choose not to use, but we make the offering for everything. Give everybody the opportunity.
Right. No, we got way more than way more than we thought we would get, and it's all been beneficial. Obviously, it has. We've been there 20 years. I kind of get a kick out of it. Some of your competitors call me, and for the first few years, I'd actually let them come in, and I'd let them make a pitch, and no one was even close to you. So at this point, I don't even bother.
And that's awesome because, what we strive to do at Employers Resource is, get that long-term client. We're not looking for the short-term, the big buck up front. We have a good, fair, we do a per employee pricing, and it's consistent and it stays that way. And it keeps us very, very competitive, and it keeps our clients with us for a long time. That's what we love about it.
And in full disclosure, I don't use all your benefits.
No, you don't.
All the things you offer, I pick and choose.
That's right.
We add and subtract depending upon the market, but
At that particular time, exactly.
overall, you're still handling the payroll. You're still handling it's been good. It's been 20 years, and our accident, I don't think we've had a claim.
No. Y'all, we had in the past a rebate program, which we're looking to hopefully bring back here
I like
soon.
that program.
Yeah, so did I. And so,
Well, if you're going to get it back, you can talk about it.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to be coming back with it in the first part of January. We're looking to bring that back. And basically what it did was it caused clients to really have skin in the game as well and be partners with us. And you guys being the best example of that, you had a wall with all your placards and all just year in and year out, consistently winning those certificates and getting those rebates. It was awesome.
And it was $1,000 at times.
Sometimes more, sometimes less. It was 5% of what the premium was
I see.
for that 6 months, and it was fantastic. It really was.
And we did something different with it. Like it's corporate money. We could have put it in the account, but instead, since everybody at ARC Specialties has potential for being injured, I figured what we would do is have a raffle, and that's how we'd raffle off the money.
I loved being able to come up here and be a part of that every month, every 6 months. I mean, that was really tremendous because not every employer does that. Some of them do put it back in their pocket, and
Which is fine.
That's fine, exactly. But I was always impressed by the way you handled that and really respected that and enjoyed being a part of that. I really did. Always have.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Exactly.
Oh, well, hurry up and get that program back online. All right.
Handing those guys money every 6 months and seeing the look on their face when they got an extra $200-300, whatever it was, man, how cool was that? That was great.
Oh yeah, and it makes you think about, hey, if you don't get hurt, then you don't bleed, and you might get a check.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. We have other entities in the past that have larger amounts of premium, and I've seen them struggle with keeping losses down. And when that rebate program was in effect, they would buy some item. Four-wheeler sometimes, because these guys were in hundreds of thousands of premium, and they would put that out there on the showroom floor or the shop floor and say, we go 6 months without a lost time accident. And what happens is the people, your employees, become the police, not the superintendents. Everybody starts, hey, you caused me to lose that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same way. You get incentive going, and it really motivates everybody pull together. It's nice.
Okay, well, here's my vote for bringing that back online.
Awesome.
Okay, and so I have hooked you up with so many of my friends because as an entrepreneur, I kind of hang out with entrepreneurs, and
that's what I love.
let's see, you've helped out a holster maker friend of mine, all sorts of people. So who is a candidate?
Well, that's a good question, Dan. People ask me it all the time. Do I qualify? What's the qualification? We have clients with one employee.
One employee.
Just don't want to deal with it. They literally just don't want to mess with the headache. They want somebody to do those 940s, file, and they do a W-2 program to themselves.
Right.
We probably have, I'd say, 40 to 50
so you don't,
one-employee
you'll
accounts.
Take a one-person
Absolutely.
company.
Take a one-person company, and then I have accounts that have over 500-600 employees. I would say I had, and I was telling you this earlier, I had 3 accounts that were over 1,000 employees, and that's kind of when they start looking at the potential to maybe bring it in-house or maybe look at other alternatives. But also at the same time, the PEO model also has many, many opportunities to be diverse. And some of those larger accounts have just moved into what they would consider to be just a payroll only, where they don't, they want to do all the other pieces in-house, but they want to just have somebody do their payroll, and we'll do that for them as well.
So at least 1 to 600. That's your sweet spot.
That's a really good sweet spot. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Interesting. I've had one other fiasco, as I go through life and learn how to run a business, and that was with healthcare costs. And it was kind of interesting. I'd muddle along, and every year we'd get a 5% increase, and our little agent would come in and tell us that, 5% increase, and I'd go, well, I'm glad we held it at that. And I finally did something that I'd never heard of, and that was I did a loss run.
Not many people do that. You're right.
Well,
Most
Why
people haven't
shouldn't
heard
everybody?
of it.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody should.
You tell us then, because I'm not sure I got that down. Well, a loss run to me is you have your agent. Your agent has to do it.
That's right.
Has to call the insurance company and say, out of every dollar that ARC Specialties has spent, how much was spent on the employees and how much went into the coffers of the insurance company.
That's right. And that's not just the insurance companies. It's the TPAs, and it's this,
What's
and
the
it's
TPA?
third-party administrators. Okay. It's all of these networks. You hear about, well, I have the best network. Well, those networks negotiate prices, and somebody's getting paid. Our former CEO used to use the term a lot, that there are just so many people at the trough in the healthcare world, and that's why, if you think about it, and I truly remember this, 8-10 years ago, people would say, I don't know if I can pay my healthcare premium or if I can pay my car note. I really don't know which one I can pay. And now today we're saying, I don't know if I can pay my mortgage or if I can pay my healthcare premium. You talk about those little 5% increases. 10, 12 years ago, we'd get 1-2% increases, and we would raise our arms up and go, hold time out. I want to know what's going on here. And now if we get it under double digits, we get excited. Yeah. I had a client call me 3 weeks ago saying their increase was 9%, and they were so excited.
Well, I'm old, right? So I started paying for insurance for employees long ago. And back when I started, it was very affordable. But, at 5% increase, what's that take, 10 years to double? Something like that. Can't do the math in my head. But the bottom line is my little agent, she would come in with a serious look on her face every year and then hit me with the 5-8% increase. And then when we ran our losses, 60% of my premiums were being spent on insurance and not my people. That's immoral.
It is. It truly is thievery. When you think of the fact that who's getting that? And then it's on top of that, the way you have to become competitive and the way that business owners have to fight those increases. Then they have to increase the deductibles. They have to minimize the copays.
No, I absorbed it every year.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, but not every business owner can, and that's what happens.
Well, and so when we found out that 60 cents out of every dollar was being spent on stuff that didn't benefit my people, we went self-insured. And you got to, and that's one thing you're here to talk to me about today, is you got a plan that's similar. But I got to finish my story. So as soon as we went self-insured, we saved, I think it's $60,000. So we'd always been paying 100% of our employees' insurance, and we went from 30% of dependents to 60% because I used the savings to do that. And so I think that was a much better use of the money than sending it to an insurance company.
Amen to that. I couldn't agree more. And there are more opportunities, and a lot of business owners don't know. Used to the adage was, well, if I'm not 300, 400, 500 employees or 1,000, I can't do a self-funded program. It's not true. It's a misnomer. It's definitely just, and then there are, beyond that, there's level funded, there's fully self-funded. So there's different opportunities in there for individuals to really take advantage of programs that allow them to take those monies that they're saving and put it back in their pocket.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that y'all are going that way. So, after we're off there, we'll have to talk.
Absolutely.
But I'm a huge fan of self-insurance. And then every year when we don't have big claims, that means we've saved some money.
That's right. Money comes back to you.
Yeah.
And then you have reinsurance and things like that to keep you from getting. You have to have stop losses. Exactly.
Okay.
To protect you. You got to have some protection there because you never know when that $1 million claim is going to come down the pike. But the good thing is, your people, what's going on in your group, and you were able to really manage that, where a lot of business owners just don't even have the information. And that's simple, and it's time consuming, but getting your broker to go in and get that loss information, that's the critical first piece right there.
Well, I tell you, the clue that they were ripping me off was when I asked my agent to run a stop loss. She says, if you don't trust me, I resign. So she knew precisely what she'd been doing.
Absolutely.
And somehow or another she slept at night. I don't know how, but that's another story. But so you're through your PEO now. We're going to be able to do self-insurance.
That's right. Self-insured, level funded. We still have
What's
the fully
level
funded is another tier, a different tier of the self-insured model. Level funded uses stop loss and other things and it really helps smaller groups become part of a partially self-funded program is basically what it entails. It's partially self-funded. So they take some risk. They don't take all the risk, but they don't have to put up the big stop losses because they may be small enough to where they can't really afford to do some of that. So it's a very intense, very, and I even bring in experts, to be honest, when I get into that area, because it does get with compliance and things like that. But there's also some other areas, HSAs, high deductible HSAs.
Right.
10, 15 years ago, people, they didn't even know what that was. And now people are starting to really understand that healthcare insurance was never intended to cover 100% of everything. And that's kind of where it got off track there for a while. And now we're starting to really see that come back. And we're starting to see, with one of our programs, we work with the providers from the standpoint of prescriptions, which is a huge area.
It's a big thing.
I mean, it's a big one. So there's a lot of different ways we can go in and we can sit down. What we do that's different is, when your insurance broker that you're working with comes in, and I work with insurance brokers all the time, so I'm not knocking them at all. They have a place and everything. But what we do is we take and drill down further like you did.
Right.
We get into those stop losses. We look at the loss ratios. We look at all of the things that make up that program, and then educate people, most importantly, education, teaching them that there are other alternatives, teaching them that self-insured is not the only way to go.
So what's kind of the minimum size? We were self-insured with 50 people.
25 is usually about the minimum you want to go. I can work with 25 or more on the self-insured side of things. Under 25, there aren't a lot of programs. I can get into some of the level funded under 25, but for the most part, for the fully self-insured, you need to have a minimum of 25.
Interesting. Okay. So we've hit on a bunch of the things that you're offering. What else? What am I missing? What else is
Let's
PEO
go back a little bit, and I'll just go over what I call the core four.
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
There's 4 areas, kind of at a 20, 30,000 foot overview. There's 4 primary areas that we focus on, and the first one we talked about was work comp. I mean, that's a big piece.
It brought me in.
It absolutely brought you in. But if I go into a white collar area where they're all clerical,
it's cheap.
Yeah, work comp means nothing. They're looking for the benefits, the health care, those types of things, and that's their focus. But then there's also a component that really covers all businesses, and that's the HR side of things. Having, with the PEO model and our PEO, every one of our clients is assigned an HR representative. Everyone is assigned a customer service representative, client retention individual, we call it. And those individuals focus on making sure that they have access to all the different departments that we have. But more importantly is keeping our business owners in compliance. As a company's growing, like I remember when we first started, you had 13 employees. I remember that day, 13, and you've had
proud of it.
And very proud of it, and rightfully so. But you've grown like a lot of business owners today. What your compliance that you have to deal with at 13 is way different at 20, and it's way different at 50 employees. Yep. Now you become a large employer, and you got all these nuances that you have to deal with, and that's where a PEO, it's just another aspect. It's that second component. It's the HR.
Oh, we phone you guys a lot.
Absolutely.
How do you handle this? How do you handle that?
And that's what we're there for. Exactly. You couldn't have said it better. I mean, that's what we're a resource to be able to get a second set of eyes, or to get a second opinion, or in many cases get that first opinion. So.
You've had to bring your lawyers in. I think we hired a Russian, right?
That's right.
And so you've helped us with
the visas and stuff like that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, that HR compliance piece is super important. The third piece, is the benefits. We were talking about the health, the dental, the vision. We just put together a program for the dental and the vision that is just amazing, and the opportunity for savings is incredible. So that's starting January 1 with us as well. Guardian, which is unique. We were with another program prior to that locked us in for 2 years, and now Guardian's coming in Jan 1 of 2023 saying they guarantee no increases for any of our clients, and they're locking in their rates for another 2 years. So we're going to get almost 4 years, which is unheard of locked in rates. We're super, super excited about the programs that we have. Guardian just does a phenomenal job. They've got so many diverse programs, from the dental aspect, from the life insurance, all the different things that they offer. So we've got long-term disability, short-term disability.
Am I doing my long-term with you? I've lost track.
No, you're not, and that's what we're going to talk about, is maybe moving some of those ancillary products over to us, because you can keep your major medical in your self-funded program you're in now, and I can handle the ancillary products.
No, you're completely, and I appreciate that. You're completely flexible.
Absolutely.
It's just It's like a buffet.
That's right. Like we said, the buffet. That's
Pick
right.
and choose. Well, okay, you said 4 things. Well,
And the fourth one is the payroll.
payroll. Yeah, that's huge. I mean,
it's really it's the most important.
you
That's
got to
why I said it for
remember,
last.
back when I had about 10 people, I was doing the 941s every month myself.
Right. And now we take over all of that, take all of the tax filings over, just handle everything A to Z, and any garnishments, anything you can think of in the payroll world,
Right.
making sure that we're compliant and everything's taken care of from your payroll perspective as well.
And it ain't that hard, but we had one thing right when I first started offloading that to one of the people at ARC Specialties. This is a strange story. She took the 941 check to the bank, forgot to take a deposit slip. Okay. And this just shows you what can happen. And so the bank, being courteous, created a new account. Okay. Well, it wasn't the right account. Okay. And then from then on, she kept putting money into that
wrong
erroneous,
account.
into the wrong account. And then next thing I know, the IRS has locked our accounts because we hadn't been paying our 941s. I said, oh, no, it's simply a clerical error. It's over in this account. They said, we don't care.
Yeah.
it was quite a hassle. So it just shows you even the simple stuff
That's right.
can go wrong.
Little things like, a lot of companies don't know you have to keep your I-9 filing separate. I mean, it seems a simple thing, but some people just don't know.
Oh, no, we had they came in and inspected our
Exactly,
I-9s.
did an audit. That's right. I remember that.
So
Yep.
you gotta have all your paperwork done, and you guys, I consider you to be free consultants. I know we're paying you, but
Yep.
but in effect, we call you and ask you all manner of questions.
And that's what it's about. It's that, it's the economy of scale. It's, now you're part of a much larger program, so we bring to the table more than you can get in a lot of cases on your own. So that's what a PEO does, is take those core 4 values. One of the benefit components we don't talk enough about is the 401k. We offer a 401k that, I remember asking the owner of the 401k years ago when they passed the laws where all 401ks had to be very transparent on all the cost and then to really start showing what all those were. And I asked how that was going to affect them, and they said not a bit, because that's the way we've always done it. Exactly. That's the way we've always done business. And John Slavic is the owner of it's Slavic 401k. He does the 401k for probably 150, 160 different PEOs. Does a great job.
And in full disclosure, I'm on my 3rd 401k, and it's yours.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
The first 2 were very big disappointments. And it's hard for us mortals to pick a 401k, but there's some bad ones out there.
There definitely are. And you don't think of it that way because you think they're all the same.
Wrong.
But they're not. That's right. So we're very pleased this is probably our, 14th or 15th consecutive year with Slavic, and they just do a phenomenal job. They really do.
Something to be said for continuity.
It is. It really is. And the fact that, a lot of times when I go in to talk to people about where those savings are coming from, in many cases, a big part of their savings is coming out of that 401k. Just a small business, sometimes they charge them $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to administrate everything, and we do it absolutely no charge at all.
We fired the first 401k group over performance.
Right.
Poor performance. We fired the second one over cost. And you guys are all my people are happy with the performance. They've got a whole array of
they've got really good
levels,
selections. Exactly.
You can move in and out of the risky stuff, but overall the cost is that's why like I said, we fired the second group, and so far you're in no danger of being fired.
That's good. They do a good job. Very pleased with them, and I use them as well myself, so I definitely can relate to just what a great job they do. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big push here at ARC, and we do matching, and you set it up as a safe harbor.
Exactly.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, the Safe Harbor is a program that the government put together, and it allows and eliminates a lot of the top-heavy testing. I'm no 401k expert, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but I do know a lot of companies, especially if you're doing the match, it's an opportunity to do that match and then not have to deal with all the top-heavy testing. So
right, and the only thing we had to do was have a 0 vesting period, which was fine. Didn't bother me
That's
anyway.
right.
So we made no compromise on kind of like your guys. We didn't have to make any compromise, and we already were in compliance with the Safe Harbor. So
absolutely,
that worked out well.
There are so many different drill downs on those core 4 areas,
Yeah.
we could spend hours and hours. But I think, what I would say the most is the best opportunity is to get a hold of me, get a hold of you, and then you get a hold of me, however they do it. And you've recommended many people to me, like you said, but let us just do a proposal
And
put
they've
in
all
some
liked
numbers.
you, by
And
the way.
every one of them, that's
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
so just put some numbers together. If it makes fits, great. If it makes sense, great. If it fits, great. If not, we shake hands and say, hey, we don't have to do the whole pressured sale, if you will.
No.
It either sells itself or it doesn't. It's that's the nice thing about it.
I remember one of my friends, he barely got him signed up, and then one of his employees cut off a finger or two.
That's right. That's right.
And y'all worked through it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's what they call an accident. It just happens.
It happens.
And so, and he's still a great client today. So, everything's good. So.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I guess, I'm a big fan of the PEO, and I guess a lot of people are doing that for paperwork reduction. And so, our listeners, if you're unconcerned with paperwork, that's fine. But I think everyone ought to do a loss run on their insurance, because you may, or I'm going to say may, are they probably going to be as shocked at,
I think they probably will, unless they know of issues that they're having, and everybody does.
but 60%.
60% is huge.
Yeah. Do you make 60%?
I know.
No.
No.
Do restaurants make? No, they make 6%.
If they're lucky, yeah.
No, so 60% is immoral. When it could be better spent on health care for real people.
That's right.
I'm kind of passionate about this. Can you tell?
I like it. And if we had more people passionate about that, and we didn't have the lobbyists doing what they're doing to keep protecting the healthcare programs, we'd see more change. No doubt.
So go to here's Dan's advice for today. Go to your health insurance agent. Say, I'd like to have a loss run. And if they get a scared look on their face, that's a clue.
That's a clue.
Yeah.
And then right after that, call me.
Yeah, and if they resign like mine did, that's an even bigger clue.
Yeah, that is definitely.
Well, like I said, I kind of enjoy it when other PEOs call me, because I kind of throw out what you're doing for
I love
me.
when you call me and tell me about that. It does it. It makes me feel good. It makes me proud
You're
of
doing it
who
right.
we're doing. Yeah, that's right.
But you're not winning everything. I'm still doing my own health care,
Right.
but you're doing most of them.
And I'm doing the parts that mean more to you. And so that's the most important thing, is that I make sure I have you have access to all of them, but you pick and choose what you want to use.
Well, it's the same thing on your the vision and dental. We make that optional here because some people need it and some people don't.
That's right.
And so that works out beautifully for us. And so I guess we got to talk about healthcare, and we got to talk about long-term disability when we get off the air. But
Absolutely.
what else? I mean, this is a huge thing, people. I mean, it saved me $50,000 in the first year. $50,000.
That's big numbers. Real
that's
numbers.
A big number.
That's right.
That was just enough to pay to double my contribution on dependent coverage. And that's what I wanted.
I signed up a group, just to give you an idea, I signed up a group pretty much scattered all over the country, 62 employees. About in July was their first payroll run.
So you can work in multiple states.
I work in all 50 states.
You're doing that for us.
And we actually are now in Canada and South America. So
you skip Mexico?
all of South America.
That's central.
Central South America, absolutely. I'm sorry, yeah, Mexico, all of South America. We actually have, we could go on and on about all the different fingers that we're involved in, because there's just anything related to, for example, recruiting. A lot of people are really tough obstacles of recruiting today. And we have a nearshore program that we have where you can hire a full-time recruiter, 40 hours a week, college educated, for $25,000 a year. 40 hours out of Medellin, Colombia, and then we have a program that we have there. So, and it doesn't have to just be recruiting; it can be accounting, it can be a lot of different things. We have a nearshore program that we have access to. There's just so many different things that people can really get access to through the PEO model.
And you're handling the company in Ohio too.
That's correct.
Okay, and Ohio's that's a different animal.
It's a monopolistic state, so it's a little different, a little unique.
That's a big word.
Yeah, it's it basically means that the work comp component is handled through the state.
Okay.
The state, whereas, like, for example, you mentioned earlier, Texas is the only state in the union that doesn't mandate work comp.
Right.
Although they're careful enough to put out a brochure called The Cost of Going Bare. And they do tell you right away, one of the things that will pierce a corporate shield is a work comp claim.
Yeah.
So they say, yeah, you don't have to, but we really, really recommend you do.
But it reduces the threshold for liability.
Amazing. Big time.
So
Yep.
don't go there.
Don't even think about it. And the state says don't do it, so you really, you really
So
shouldn't.
that's why we don't do it. But Ohio was a different animal, and I was going to either have to A, learn about Ohio, or B, dump it on you.
And we took it right away because we've got many clients in Ohio already. So it was no brainer at all. Piece of cake.
All right. Well, it's been great. It's been 20 years. I don't see any end to this relationship.
I'd love to hear that.
But here's your chance. So what else did I miss? What else you want to tell our audience?
The only thing I would say is, a lot of people, they may think, well, that sounds too good to be true or something like that. Take a few minutes and just get a hold of me, and I have no problem. It's a no cost. Put a little proposal together.
I've got your
throw
cell
some
phone.
Numbers. There you go. You got my cell.
Either call me, or how do they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me, 832-282-6166. That's my cell
your
number.
cell? Oh,
I'm gonna throw it out there. I don't have a problem with that.
And what's your title again?
I am the division president.
And you got the division president's cell phone number.
And
so
you can also email me, jgrimm@employersresource.com, employers with an S, resource.com. Yep. And, let us have an opportunity to just look at things, especially the healthcare world today. I mean, it's just, it's gotten so complex, so difficult. And like you said, they're just milking people for massive amounts of money. And we have too many different options, too many different things to look at for people to get trapped into that model, that one size fits all, because it doesn't at all.
It's a great source of pride for me to provide 100% of the employee insurance and now 66% of the dependent insurance. But there's no pride at all in funding skyscrapers for insurance companies.
That's a fact.
So that's why I'd much rather work with you guys.
And I got to tell you, I say this to a lot of different people, over the last 20 years, I've been very proud to work with you as well, because you are one of the best employers that we have as a client. You really take care of your people.
Well, we listen to you. You do. Yeah. You didn't mention that. You do a safety audit.
That's right.
Tell about that.
So we have
That's
our safety
huge.
inspectors come in. They'll actually do an audit of your facility. We did, helped you guys with that. And that was the beauty of it. You guys listened and you adhered.
Absolutely.
And it paid off 100%. And so that's how you get those rebates when we have the rebate program.
Did that save an accident? You can't prove a negative, so you never know.
That's right.
But y'all will point out things that we'll go like, that's a good point. The extension cord's wrong or whatever.
But we can show company after company that had a lot of problems, put our programs in place, and then saw a decrease or a total decline of those issues. So it definitely works.
And it gets
There's no
buy-in.
doubt.
Everybody at ARC knows who you are. Particularly when you bring those checks every 6 months. That's a hint, Jim.
I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to get that going again for sure.
All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's go off the air, and then you and I can talk about these other possibilities, and let's see if we can get you back on again.
Absolutely. Love to. Thanks again. Thank you very
Thanks for 20
much.
years of help.
Absolutely. Enjoyed every bit of it.